Welcome to week 8, where we are going to talk about tides. This is video 1, and in video 1 we're going to discuss exactly what tides are and how they behave. In video 2 we'll get into how we measure and predict tides, and then in video 3 we'll talk about some of the causes of tides. So just like last week's videos, I'm going to have some links that are also posted, which hopefully you can see. When you open this video, you'll see some links for various media that you can look at whenever you want through the NOAA website. So what is a tide? Well, it's a daily rise and fall of mean sea level at a specific location. So every ocean coastline is going to have a tide. Sometimes it will be pretty small. Sometimes it'll be huge. There might be more than one high tide in a day. Those high tides might be different. Depends on where you are. This example here that you can see is the Bay of Fundy, one of the very famous places that has just an absolutely enormous tide. You can see high tide on April 20th, 2001 here in the Bay of Fundy, and then low tide for September 30th, 2002, and you can see how much that ocean water has just drained out, and you are left with these freshwater channels in that bay. Pretty amazing. So got a cool YouTube time lapse here to show you about Hopewell Rocks, and basically in this location we've got about a 45.6 foot tide. See the wave or the tides coming up. People visiting this area. It's a park that you can go and walk around on the ocean floor. Tide comes in and then fills up this whole area all the way up to where that notch begins. Kayakers go out. You can take a trip around those rocks. This is up in Canada, French Canada, where you got pretty amazing tides. So, a little advertisement there for Hopewell Rocks. You guys can watch this on your own. That's why we've got the French there, because a lot of people speak French up in this part of Canada. So pretty amazing tides up in Hopewell Rocks in the Bay of Fundy area. So how do tides behave? Well, the size of the tide, the rhythm, how often it happens vary with where you are on the globe and what time of day or year it is. There's daily patterns. So you can have what are called diurnal, semi-diurnal, and mixed tides. We'll go into those in the next video. And then you can have monthly patterns of spring and neap tides, and we'll go over that a little bit later as well. So these are the major rhythms and patterns we see. And tides actually do move like waves. In bays, we have what are called ebb and flood. So ebb, water drains out; flood, water comes in. And in ocean basins, we have this huge tidal bulge on the earth, so it acts as one giant wave. So if you guys open up GeoAtlas, just to remind you how to get to it, go to the course homepage, click on additional course resources, and then click on GeoAtlas, and you'll see the start page, and click to start module 1 map. And I'll move my screen so you can see it a little bit better. I'm going to click on tides, and here you'll see, if I put the numbers on, the average tidal ranges in centimeters, the purples being low, the greens being high. So we have some areas that have pretty high tides. The Bay of Fundy, which is right up here by this 25, it's too small of an area to be showing up on this map, but it does have pretty amazingly huge tides, just as big as some of these large areas on this map. So pretty amazing changes in our tides, where we are in the Oregon coast, anywhere from 20 to 50 centimeter tide range. So you guys can play around with that. So those are kind of global tides, really high on the coast of Spain and Portugal, also around New Zealand and Australia as well. So some places that are pretty close to the equator can get fairly high tides. So just to kind of show you some pictures of the Bay of Fundy, this would be low tide. The water level would come up to this notch in these rocks on the coast here. Where I'm standing in this photograph, the water would have been probably at least 5 feet over my head. And while we were at this location, my mom did a little experiment and timed how long it took the waves to and the tides to rise while she was standing on a rock, stationary, in her sandals, and timed it as it got up to her knees, which is pretty neat to see just how quickly it can happen. So there's a lot of warnings in this area where the tides change pretty quickly with a huge tidal range. They have lots of warnings so that you don't get trapped in dangerous areas. And here's just a few other photographs of some of these areas that are these tidal flats that are exposed at low tide, just massive amounts of mud. A lot of the bridge work has to be has to factor in these high and lows. You can see this is a river channel that will be flooded when high tide comes up, fills up in this muddy area, and then you can see the brownish grass on the edge here because that's where the grass is getting covered by some of that more saline water. So to kind of give you an idea of the difference, so the Bay of Fundy, we've got about 56 feet from high to low. Oregon coast, about 10 feet. And these are the max. So we don't have nearly the amount of tidal range as they have in the Bay of Fundy, and that has a lot to do with the shape of that basin and where they're located. So that's kind of an overview of tides. So now we know what they are and how they behave. In the next slide, our video, we'll talk about how tides are measured and predicted.